It was news that we couldn't believe. It was back in February of 2008. A Cockeysville family murdered in their sleep with a lone exception.
A 15-year-old son named Nicholas Browning, who ultimately confessed to the killings. As ABC 2 News' Jeff Hager reports tonight, he was back in court today trying to get his prison sentence reduced.
Unless you live in Maryland, you might not have heard about Nicholas Waggoner Browning, a teenaged boy from a respected family who murdered his parents and two younger brothers. While he claimed he did it because of abuse, the murders were cold-hearted. Also, nothing excused murdering his two younger brothers. Try to picture a nice house in the suburbs of Cockeysville, Maryland, in the late winter of 2008. Photographs in the local newspapers show a large home with an enormous lawn. Murders are rare here. The father, John, is a local attorney, working at Royston Mueller McLean and Reed in nearby Towson, Maryland. The mother, Tamara, is a stay-at-home mom. The oldest child, Nicholas, is approaching his 16th birthday. He has two younger brothers, Greg and Benjamin. The family often vacations at their vacation home at Deep Creek Lake in western Maryland. Nicholas is an honor student at Delaney High School in Timonium, Maryland, where he is on the varsity lacrosse team. He plays golf, and he also skis, and he's a Boy Scout. His father is involved as a scoutmaster and is also a church leader. It sounds like a life of privilege. In many ways, it was, even if it may have had a darker side. We'll never know for sure because the only other witnesses were murdered. On the evening of Friday, February 1, 2008, Nicholas came home after visiting friends. His actions would shatter not only his family but also his extended family and his community. He shot his father, John, who was sleeping on the sofa on the ground floor, and then, he went upstairs to kill his mother, Tamara, and his younger brothers, Benjamin and Greg. 5 hours later, Nicholas walked back to his friend's house and played video games. He asked his friends to take him home early Saturday afternoon, but not before inviting friends to a party at his house later that evening. After he came back home, Nicholas emerged from the house, announced that he had found his father's body, and called 911. Officers at the crime scene were interrupted several times when Nicholas' friends arrived at the house, expecting to find an ongoing party. By Sunday, Nicholas confessed to police, and he was charged with the murders on that day. He was charged as an adult and denied bail. The next Saturday, he turned 16 years old in the nearby Baltimore County Detention Center, on the day of his family's funeral. Was he truly driven by abuse or instead by money? Was he a victim as well as a perpetrator? Even reports from those who knew him vary. His friends viewed him as a class clown. Yet other classmates reported that he was a bully, and they also claimed that he often hit his younger brother, Greg. The adults in his life were also confused. His lacrosse coach, John Keneally, found the details of the murder hard to believe. At a candlelight vigil, he said, "It's totally out of character. Something snapped. Something went wrong. Nick wouldn't hurt a fly." When we hear about a case like this, it's easy to forget that one coach's beloved student might be a fellow student's bully. He could be the class clown but also the guy everyone knows who mocks minorities and the disabled. Some reports indicate that Nicholas was angry because his parents wanted him to join the family on a trip to western Maryland, while he wanted to stay in Timonium with his friends. Relatives and friends, including the classmates of his younger brothers, coped the best they could with their grief. They left flowers, balloons, and stuffed animals as tributes on the front steps of the family's home. At one vigil, about 100 people attended. At another memorial, hundreds attended. They mourned, but they also shared happy memories about the family. Still, the classmates of Greg and Benjamin struggled with their grief. Garland Williams, the former owner of a local garden center, found a way to help them grieve by setting up a memorial garden at their middle school, Cockeysville Middle School. According to a psychiatrist hired by the defense, Nicholas talked about the murders like he was talking about taking out the trash. Before the murders, on the school bus, he talked with friends about killing his family because he wanted his father's money, and they ignored him because they thought he was joking. He also contacted a friend from prison and joked about escaping from prison, saying, "I hate justice. You need to break in here and break me out." Yet Nicholas cried at his sentencing, where he apologized to the relatives who continued to support him. Was that an act? Or is he a Jekyll and Hyde figure? Like Nicholas, the stories he gave also contradict themselves. Nicholas claimed that while walking home from a friend's house, he decided to kill his parents. He said that he wanted to be able to eat dinner alone, without being backhanded or criticized. Once he got home, he used his father's own 9mm pistol to murder his entire family. He claimed he was in a trance-like state when he committed the crimes. Yet authorities believe that he planned the murders ahead of time. Also, Nicholas took the time to make the murders look like a burglary gone bad. Few of the details fit a spur-of-the-moment decision. Nicholas claimed that he committed the murders because his parents were abusive alcoholics. But he was also known to drink too much. Members of his extended family also supported the claims of abuse. However, this did not help him in the courtroom. Also, he did not provide a reason for killing the rest of his family. Surely, even if he was a victim of abuse, his two younger brothers were innocent victims. What did help in his sentencing? Some of Nicholas' relatives did not want to see Nicholas sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Instead, they saw a future in which he accepted the seriousness of his crimes and participated in therapy. For that reason, they asked the judge to give him a different sentence. They also wanted him to get therapy in prison, but they realized that not all prisons offer that. As a result of their intervention, although Nicholas received 4 life sentences, he could be eligible for parole in 2031, whether or not he gets therapy from prison. But not all relatives were so understanding. John Browning's sister, Sally Browning, wrote to the judge, asking, did he actually think he was going to be charged as a juvenile, and would walk away from his crimes? His relatives hoped he would be sentenced to the Patuxent Institution in Jessup, Maryland, a maximum security facility that offers both psychological and educational programs, a facility that is just over 30 miles from Caucusville. He did serve part of his sentence there, and he even added a profile to a prison pen pal website. Eventually, he was incarcerated in the Western Correctional Institution in Cumberland, Maryland, about 145 miles from his home and in a poorer part of Maryland. So he was finally forced to go to Western Maryland after all.